Welcome to the Shreveport Connection with Tommy. This video is on your Raw results from June the 5th. Happy birthday goes to Mike Bucci, who worked as Simon Dean and Supernova. He turned 45. Mikey Whipwrap turned 44. Joe Malenko turned 61. Gorilla Monsoon was born June the 4th. 1937, died on October 6, 1999 due to complications from diabetes. No advertised dark matches for Raw Arena website. The recent dark matches have been advertised as Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt and Seth Rollins versus Samoa Joe. Former TNA Knockout Thea Trinidad has signed a deal with WWE and has reported to NXT. According to ProWrestlingSheet.com, Trinidad worked as Rosita in TNA. She is engaged to WWE's 205 Austin Aries. She teamed with WWE Performance Center trainer Sarah Stock, who worked as Sarita in TNA as well. Xavier Woods Up Down Down channel posted this video link of Seth Rollins taking it home his trophy after defeating AJ Styles in the WWE Madden Finals this past week. It looks like Elias Sampson's first main roster feud may be with Dean Ambrose. This week's Raw saw Ambrose attack Sampson before their match and toss him over the barrier into the crowd. Ambrose then cut a promo on new WWE Intercontinental Champion The Miz and his rematch. After an exchange with Miz by the big screen, Ambrose was attacked from behind by Sampson. Ambrose was later told by Raw General Manager Kurt Angle that he will soon get his rematch at Extreme Rules. And here's a segment of that. I think there's it. Yeah. Get that for you there. And commented on and Sampson. At I Am Sampson WWE definitely struck a chord with hashtag the Lunatic Fringe at the Dean Ambrose. Go to the link. The next WWE 24 special on WWE Hall of Famer Kurt Angle will premiere Monday, July 10th on the WWE Network after Raw goes off the air. This is the night before the WWE Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view, headlined by Samoa Joe versus WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. It looks like Hall of Famer Ric Flair is recovering from an injury to his right hand. I'll show you some photos of that. No word yet of what happened, but I believe he got into another bar fight. And the Nature Boy commented also on Twitter, hashtag no pain, no gain. Let's do it. At Cavs, woo! I think it was a NBA party. And then he tweeted again. At Ric Flair Nature Boy, one Warrior fan down. Left hand still good. Be in the land on Wednesday. Rihanna, move over and let the nature show you how it's done. Woo! He's also supporting the Georgia Bulldogs track team at this link. Best in the world. On Instagram. Samoa Joe attacked Paul Heyman on this week's Raw to send a message to the Universal Champion Brock Lesnar going into their match at the WWE Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view. Lesnar has now been confirmed for a face-off with Joe at next week's Raw from Lafayette, Louisiana at the Cajun Dome. Heyman talked to Lesnar on the phone in a backstage Raw segment and told him that he wants to do more than just to have Lesnar show up next week. He wants to unleash the beast. And here's a video of Paul Heyman. No, I didn't get the video. There was a video that was being helped, the Heyman being helped to the back, the trainer's room, after receiving a coquina clutch from Samoa Joe. Enzo Amore mystery attacker storyline progressed again this week on Raw as Big Cass was laid out again this week. Cass was found backstage with a chain belonging to Enzo, but Enzo explained by saying the people attacking him must have taken the chain and planted it. Below, here's the video for that. While the Hardys did not appear on this week's Raw, after losing the Raw Tag Team title to Cesaro and Sheamus at Extreme Rules, it appears that they were backstage. PW Insider reported that the Hardys are set to work a reduced schedule over the next few weeks, as Matt Hardy and his wife are set to welcome their second child soon. No word yet on when the Hardys will get their rematch from Cesaro and Sheamus, but it could become at Great Balls of Fire pay-per-view on July 9th. Downstate's new cover of the Seth Rollins theme music can be found at this link. As rumored earlier this year, Rollins may be using it in the near future. The architect has praised the song on social media. WWE taped the following matches on Monday Night Raw for the main event. From Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, Lance Dorado versus Drew Gulak. Bo Dallas versus Kurt Hawkins. Main event opening video kicked off with the show with the usual WWE signature. Lance Dorado and Drew Gulak made their entrance as Vic Joseph and Corey Graves checked in on commentary. Lance Dorado versus Drew Gulak. The sport was kicked out of the Olympics. The reason? Unbelievable. Gulak briefly locked in a wrist lock before Dorado reversed it into a wrist lock of his own. Gulak elbowed Dorado in the face before hitting the ropes. Dorado then responded with a drop kick before hitting Gulak for a 1 count. Dorado then hit an arm drag on Gulak. Gulak eventually locked in a headlock on Dorado and then slammed him to the mat. Gulak kicked Dorado in the face, then chopped Dorado. Dorado hit a modified head scissors prior to pinning Gulak for another 1 count. Dorado locked in a headlock on Gulak. Gulak got out of it by spiking Dorado's neck on the top rope. Gulak stomped Dorado's knee. Gulak then pinned Dorado for a 1 count. Gulak briefly locked in a stump puller submission on Dorado. Then Dorado rolled Gulak up for a 2 count. Gulak kicked Dorado's knee out. Gulak hit an elbow drop on Dorado's knee before briefly locking in a knee lock on him. Then Gulak hit a dragon screw on Dorado prior to pinning him for a 2 count. Then Dorado eventually struck Gulak several times. Dorado hit a springboard moonsault on Gulak. Dorado hit a back handspring into a stunner on Gulak. Gulak then rolled out of the ring. Dorado goes to the ring apron. Dorado hit a Asai moonsault from the second rope onto Gulak on the outside. Dorado holds his knees as he rolled Gulak into the ring. Dorado hit a forearm on Gulak before attempting to go to the top turnbuckle. Gulak pulled Dorado's leg as he climbed, and Gulak rolled Dorado up and put his feet on the second rope for leverage. And Gulak got the 3 count. A recap of the opening match from Raw was shown from Roman Reigns defeating Bray Wyatt. A recap of Raw featuring Intercontinental Champion Miz celebration with Maurice shown leading to Dean Ambrose hitting dirty deeds on him after having disguised himself as a cameraman. Bo Dallas and Kurt Hawkins made their entrance for their next match. Dallas clotheslined Hawkins. Dallas kneed Hawkins several times before slamming his head on the top turnbuckle. Hawkins kicked Dallas. Dallas ran at Hawkins. Hawkins hit him head first into the middle rope. Dallas falls out of the ring. Hawkins rolled Dallas back into the ring before clotheslining him. Hawkins punched Dallas several times as he headed to commercial break. Hawkins slammed Dallas to the mat as we return from a commercial break. Hawkins briefly locked in a headlock on Dallas. Dallas fought out of it. Hawkins elbowed Dallas in the face. And then Hawkins hit a back suplex before pinning Dallas for a 2 count. Hawkins then briefly locked in another headlock on Dallas as Hawkins sends Dallas into the turnbuckles. Hawkins then set Dallas up for the Tree of Woe position in the corner before drop kicking him and pinning him for a 2 count. Hawkins then went to the apron and attempted to suplex Dallas to the outside. But Dallas blocked it. Dallas hit the top rope, hung neck breaker on Hawkins, and Dallas pinned Hawkins for the win. A recap of Raw was shown. Verbal exchange between Samoa Joe and Paul Heyman, leading to Samoa Joe choking out Paul Heyman with a coquina clutch. A recap of main event from Raw is shown to close the show, featuring Samoa Joe defeating Seth Rollins. Raw opened up with a look back at last night's Extreme Rules pay-per-view, live from Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, with Michael Coleslaw. Corey Graves and Booker T hyped the show and announced a new number one contender. Samoa Joe will be here later. Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns, first matchup. We go right to the ring, and out comes Bray Wyatt. Wyatt says he has had a chance to slay the beast and save us all from damnation last night, but they took his own sword and put it in his eye. Wyatt says he's still here and he's coming for all who are guilty. Finn Balor is guilty. Samoa Joe is guilty. Seth Rollins is guilty. But last but not least, Roman Reigns is guilty. Fans boo Reigns' name. Wyatt has made a vow. One by one, they must all be punished. Starting right here tonight with Reigns. Wyatt goes on, but the music interrupts and out comes Reigns to mostly boos. Reigns hits the rings and they stare each other down. The crowd chants Reigns sucks, and they're loud with mixed reactions. Reigns says this is why he's the guy. He shows Wyatt what happens when you talk trash in his yard. Reigns decks Wyatt. Wyatt comes back and they go out and start the match. Wyatt dodges an early Superman punch and gets stunned and goes to the floor for a breather. We go to commercial. Back from the commercial, and Reigns kicks out at 2. We see how Wyatt floored Reigns during the commercial to turn it around. Wyatt kept Reigns grounded. Reigns got up and they traded shots. Wyatt blocked someone drop and nailed a DDT for a 2 count. Wyatt kept Reigns grounded. More back and forth as Reigns was up again. Wyatt ended up on top, but Reigns rocked him and nailed a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Reigns makes a comeback with clotheslines. Reigns with a big clothesline off the ropes as fans boo. Reigns runs into a boot in the corner. Wyatt launched Reigns shoulder first into the ring post, and Reigns falls out to the floor. Wyatt with a senton on the floor. Wyatt looks at Reigns and smiles as we go to commercial. Back from the break, Wyatt has Reigns down as he's fighting out. Wyatt cuts him off. Reigns rocks Wyatt with a big right hand. Reigns sends Wyatt through the ropes to the floor. Referees count, but Wyatt makes it back in. Reigns unloads and drops Wyatt with a clothesline. Reigns with a big shot in the corner as the fans count along. Reigns runs into a big boot, comes right back with a big clothesline for a 2 count. Reigns gets up to a mixed boos and cheers. Reigns calls for a Superman punch, but Wyatt turns upside down and taunts him. Reigns charges with a punch, but Wyatt catches him and hits the Uranage for a 2 count. Wyatt then waits in the corner with his back facing Reigns. Wyatt turns upside down again and charges with a splash to the corner. Wyatt puts Reigns on the top and rocks him. Wyatt climbs up and beats on Reigns. Reigns headbutts him to get out, and then nails some more headbutts. Reigns then slides back to his feet, hits the sit-down powerbomb for a 2 count. Reigns calls for the spear, and he waits for Wyatt to get up. Wyatt sidesteps and sends Reigns into the corner. Reigns comes right back with a Superman punch for another close 2 count. Reigns with a lot of pops and boos now. Reigns calls for the spear, but Wyatt retreats to the floor. Reigns follows with a drive-by, but Wyatt flattens him with a clothesline. Both men are down on the floor. Now as the referees count, Wyatt makes it in at 8. Reigns barely makes it back in. They stare each other down from the mat. Reigns is up first. Wyatt jumps up and grabs Reigns for Sister Abigail, but Reigns counters with a roll-up for a 2 count. Reigns nails the Superman punch and a spear for the win. After the match, Reigns stands tall as the referee checks on Wyatt. As we go to replays, Reigns stands tall in the corner. So to come new number one contender Samoa Joe. Also a look back at Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss retaining an Extreme Rules match commercial. Back from the break, Charlie Caruso is with Enzo and Big Cass backstage. So brings up how He's been attacked by mysterious attackers lately, and that's how it hurts their match against Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson tonight. Enzo doesn't know who's attacking him, but he's going to catch a charge when he finds out. He also knocked Corey Graves' hairstyle. He goes on and Cass takes the mic saying Enzo likes Charlie. Cass says the fact that the people think that he has something to do with the attacks is insulting. To make sure it doesn't happen again, he will be watching Enzo's back from now on. We go back to the announcers, and Coleslaw asks Graves if he wants to say anything about what Enzo said. Corey doesn't offer his thoughts, and he doesn't want to say the wrong thing. We get stills from the Kingdoms take out a pole match from Extreme Rules. We also get photos of the marks on the Bailey's back from the kendo stick. Coleslaw hyping, saying Bailey is not here tonight. Raw General Manager Kurt Angle is backstage when Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss walks in. She wonders where her congratulations are. Bliss says she has proved Bailey doesn't have what it takes, and she's decided to moving on from Bailey. Bliss says she doesn't want to just celebrate her title reign tonight. She wants to celebrate her entire life and already has the guests lined up. She proposes an Alexa Bliss, "This is my life" segment. Angle says that that's a terrible idea, as last week's segment on Bailey was one of the worst. Angle reminds Bliss that she promised Nia Jax the title shot after Extreme Rules. Angle makes Nia versus Bliss for tonight with the title on the line. And we see Dean Ambrose walking backstage, back to commercial. Back from the break, JoJo introduces Elias Sampson. He's in the ring with a spotlight and his guitar. Sampson asks who wants to walk with Elias. He saw a leaf fall earlier today, and that inspired him to write this song. Sampson starts singing a song that knocks Wilkes Barrett and Dean Ambrose. The music interrupts, and out comes the Lunatic Fringe. So that match is up next. Ambrose marches to the ring just one night after losing the Intercontinental title. Ambrose takes the mic and wants to say something. He attacks Sampson instead and tosses him out of the ring. Ambrose unloads on Sampson and tosses him over the barrier. Ambrose then goes back into the ring and grabs the mic. Ambrose says he's here tonight for one reason only. He wants The Miz, and he wants his rematch right now. New Intercontinental Champion appears on the big screen with Maurice. Miz says Ambrose is confused because he didn't get the invitation. There will be no rematch tonight because there's an Intercontinental title comeback tour celebration. Sampson attacked Ambrose from behind and dropped him. Sampson hits the swinging neckbreaker and talks trash in Dean's face. Sampson walked off into the back as Ambrose recovered. Still to come segment, Samoa Joe is here. Back to commercial. Back from the break, Ambrose is walking backstage, mumbling about the Drifter. Kurt Angle walks up, and Ambrose asks him where The Miz has his dressing room at. Angle says Ambrose will get his rematch, but not tonight because they have a contract for this championship celebration. Angle says Maurice has been planning it, and he doesn't want to have to deal with Maurice. Angle tells Ambrose to leave the building and take the night off. It's not a suggestion. We go to the ring. Out comes new No More Contender, WWE Universal Champion Brock Lesnar, and Samoa Joe. Joe takes a mic and some fans chanting his name. Joe says he's going to make this really simple. Standing here is a man who does not fear Brock Lesnar. Joe says he's incapable of fearing Lesnar because he's so far too envious of Lesnar. Joe wants everything Lesnar has, and he wants to take it from him. Joe wants Lesnar's gilded schedule, where he's not forced to come out each week in front of the crowd. Lesnar is allowed to come, beat people up, and go as he pleases. Joe wants to instill fear in men, and he wants Paul Heyman. Joe wants Heyman to be his advocate, negotiate his contract, and run his errands. But most importantly, Joe wants Lesnar's Universal title. Joe says at Great Balls of Fire he will be standing in the ring and looking Lesnar in the eye before taking the title from him. Ladies and gentlemen, interrupt. as Paul Heyman comes out to a pop. Heyman marches to the ring and introduces himself. He also puts Joe over for a bit for the Fatal 5-Way at Extreme Rules. Heyman asks permission before entering the ropes. Heyman says while Joe doesn't fear Lesnar, Lesnar does not fear Joe either. Heyman believes Joe likes that. Heyman goes on and calls Joe a worst case scenario for Lesnar because Joe doesn't give a damn. Heyman then says Joe wants to bring the fight to Lesnar. Heyman says he's not supposed to say this, but Joe wants to go to war with Lesnar. Heyman says if Lesnar wins the match, he's not leaving the way he came in. Heyman knows Joe is going to take a piece of Lesnar with him, regardless of the result. Heyman says it's his job to make sure Lesnar is Joe's worst case scenario at Great Balls of Fire. Heyman says if Joe wants Brock Lesnar, he's got Brock Lesnar. Heyman extends his hand for a shake, and they shake. Heyman turns and goes to leave, but Joe grabs him and takes him to the corner for a chat without the mic, man to man. Joe is disappointed by Lesnar not showing up tonight. Joe says something very bad is going to happen tonight. Joe tells Heyman that he's going to wrap his arm around Heyman's throat. Heyman's going to feel it tighten, and his vision is going to get hazy before he goes out. Joe wants Heyman to take this message to Lesnar. That's what's meant for Lesnar. This is what Lesnar's future holds. Joe applies a coquina touch in the middle of the ring and yells for Heyman to tell Lesnar this. Joe snaps and fans boo as he tightens the hold. Referees hit the ring to try to break it. Joe finally breaks the hold, leaving Heyman on his face. Joe marches to the back while officials check on Heyman as we go to commercial. Back from the ring, we see what just happened to Paul Heyman. Kurt Angle confronted Samoa Joe backstage and he's not happy. Joe says he will take out anyone who gets in his way on the road to Brock Lesnar. Joe asks if Angle is in his way. Seth Rollins gets in between them and says Angle isn't in Joe's way, but he is. Rollins runs Joe down and says he beat Finn Balor last night, not Rollins. Rollins goes on and Angle makes the match for tonight. Joe says Rollins just made a mistake. He walks off. Cesaro and Sheamus versus Rhino and Heath Slater, tag team action. We go to the ring. Out comes the new Raw Tag Team Champions, Cesaro and Sheamus. Rhino and Heath Slater are waiting in the ring. We see stills from the steel cage. Match at Extreme Rules, which saw Sheamus and Cesaro win the titles from the Hardys. Bell rings and Cesaro provides a distraction, allowing Sheamus to attack and send Slater into the ring post. Sheamus drops Slater and covers for a 2 count. Sheamus keeps Slater grounded now. Cesaro tags in for some double teaming and another pin attempt. Slater fights back for a comeback. Cesaro gets sent to the floor. Slater drops Sheamus with a kick. Cesaro pulls Rhino from the apron to stop the tag. Rhino fights back at Cesaro on the floor. Slater turns around from the distraction and eats a road kick from Sheamus for an easy win. After the match, Cesaro and Sheamus stand tall as we go to replays. Sheamus takes the mic and says, "That's how an intelligent team wins. That's why we beat the Hardys last night." Sheamus asks who is happy that the Hardys came back. They both take shots at the Hardys and brag more about becoming 2-time champions before posing as his music hits. To end their segment, TJP is backstage with the Cruiserweight Champion Neville. TJ wants to talk about their deal for him to receive a title shot. Neville tells him to have patience, but Perkins doesn't want to hear that. Perkins says he stood by Neville for the past 2 months to help him with the Austin Aries problem, and now it's time for Neville to hold up his end of the bargain. Neville says TJ is right. He's a man of his word. If TJ can take care of business tonight against Mustafa Ali, Neville will talk to Kurt Angle about the title shot. As Perkins walks off, as we go to commercial. Back from the ring, we get TJP making his way out. Mustafa Ali is already waiting in the ring. Bell rings and they'll lock up. Back and forth start. Ali with a crossbody from the top for a 2 count. Ali takes Perkins to the mat. TJP fights out, but gets into the apron. TJP drops Ali with a cheap shot and nails the diving senton from the apron for a 2 count. Perkins keeps Ali grounded. Ali with a counter as he looks to make a comeback. Ali with a big tornado DDT from the ropes. Ali goes up top for the 450, but TJ blocks it. Perkins scoops Ali for a detonation kick and nails it for the win. After the match, TJP stands tall as we go to replays. Perkins then makes his exit as the power goes off, and out comes Neville. They meet on the stage. Neville says he doesn't know how to break this to TJP, but he spoke to Kurt Angle about the title shot. And while he is the king of the cruiserweights, he's not a miracle worker. Neville is afraid that he has some unfortunate news. TJP says he and Neville are going to talk to Angle right now. TJP turns his back, and Neville nails him from behind. Neville talks trash and drops TJP on the stage. Neville says Perkins will get his shot tomorrow night at 205 Live. Still to come, Nia Jax versus Bliss for the title on the line. We've got a commercial. Back from the ring, we get another Shattered Dreams production from Goldust. He says R-Truth thinks he could sit in Goldust's direction chair. Goldust quote, going with the win, and says, Truth thinks this is just a game, a juggling act for a clown, not for Goldust. He sees the truth and the bigger motion picture here. Goldust says soon the biggest names in Hollywood and the brightest stars in the sky will be covered in gold. He says it's going to be so beautiful. The golden age is back. Sasha Banks, Dana Brooke, and Mickie James are backstage talking. Raw Women's Champion walks in and says hi, but they don't want to hear it. Sasha leaves. Bliss stops Dana and Mickie and starts talking nice to them. Bliss asks if anyone else is upset over Nia getting a title shot before them. She points to Dana's success and Mickie being a deserving veteran. Bliss tries to rally the two and says that they all have Nia Jax problem. Dana disagrees and says Bliss has a Nia Jax problem. Mickie says she will be at ringside to watch Bliss deal with her problem by herself tonight. We go to announcers and Kurt Angle appears to call Corey Graves to the side. Coleslaw calls it one of the weirdest things he's seen. We see Angle and Graves having a chat to the side. Looking at something on Angle's phone, Graves returns to the announce table. Coleslaw asks him what's going on. Graves ignores the question and comments on Kalisto making his entrance. Kalisto versus Titus O'Neil was up next. They go to the ring and out comes Kalisto. And we'll see how he defeated Apollo Crews at Extreme Rules. Kickoff pre-show from last night. Back to commercial. Back from the break, Kurt Angle is walking backstage. Mike Rome asks him about what conversation with Corey Graves was about. Angle says it was private, no matter. Rome asks Angle where he's headed, but Angle says it's a private matter. Angle walks out of the arena door. Dean Ambrose catches the door and makes his way back into the arena. We go back to the ring and Titus O'Neil making his way out with Apollo Crews. The bell rings and Titus quickly takes control by overpowering Kalisto. We'll see Akira Tozawa watching backstage. Earlier in the day, Titus tried to recruit Tozawa into the Titus brand. Kalisto turns it around and makes a comeback, but Titus catches him in midair. Titus continued to yell at Crews about how to get it done. The finish sees Kalisto counter and get a pin with a handful of tights after Titus tries to do the same. After the match, Kalisto makes his exit as we get a replay. Crews rubs the loss in as Titus vents in the ring. We see the Miz and Maurice walking backstage. They stop and see someone laid out. It's Big Cass. The referee runs over and checks on Cass, calling for more help. Enzo Amore runs over now and wants to know what happened. Cass recovers and sits up. He's got someone's neck chain in his hand. It appears to be Enzo's chain. Cass hands the chain to Enzo, and we go back to commercial. Back from the break, Enzo is with the officials checking on Cass. Enzo says whoever recently attacked him took the chain from him and planted it there. The referee puts ice on Cass's shoulder. Enzo is ready to go for their match, but the referee tells him to find a new partner. Enzo isn't happy and wants Cass to go out with him. Cass sells the attack and appears to be in bad shape. We go to the ring and Maurice has her music playing. The ring has ready apron cover and is set for a big celebration. Large balloons spell out Miz, M-I-Z, and there is a podium with with champagne. There's also some kind of mascot with a congratulations sign. Maryse welcomes up to the biggest celebration in WWE history. She praises her husband before introducing him. Out comes the new Intercontinental Champion, as we see stills from his win over Dean Ambrose at Extreme Rules from last night. Miz hits the ring and fans chant, "You deserve it," to him. He says that would mean more if the fans didn't chant it to everyone else who wins the title. Miz says the Intercontinental title comeback tour kicks off tonight as he continues to try to and restore the IC title to the heights and the glory it once knew. They raise their glasses and Miz proposes a toast to himself. He also praises his wife for putting this all together, including a dancing bear mascot. Maryse thanks him, but she didn't get the bear to come. They go back and forth about not being the one to get the bear. Grace mentioned it's a local celebrity. A paranoid Miz turns and attacks the bear, laying him out with a skull-crushing finale. Miz grabs the mic and goes to unmask the bear, saying he presents to us the former Intercontinental Champion, Dean Ambrose. He unmasks the bear, but it's not Ambrose. Just some kid who can now say he was beat up by the Intercontinental Champion, The Miz. Miz tossed the man over the top rope. We see a larger present being wheeled down the ramp by crew members. Maryse looks on excited. Miz goes out of the ring and starts beating on the gift with a steel chair. Maryse yells and tries to stop him. He destroys the nicely wrapped package, and she pleads for him to stop, saying that she worked hard on the present. Maryse said the gift is from her. He believes it's Ambrose. It's revealed to be a grandfather clock. Maryse cries and says it's timeless, just like The Miz. She says he ruined it and shoves the mic in his chest before walking off. Miz asks her where she's going. She promises to get it fixed. Miz blames Ambrose for this and wants to know where he is. Miz returns to the ring and wonders if Ambrose bought a ticket, if he's wearing a Kalisto or a Sin Cara mask. Miz rants about Ambrose and says he's scared of Miz. We see a cameraman enter the ring and stand behind Miz. Miz sees this on the big screen. He turns around to fight, but Ambrose drops him in dirty deeds. Ambrose grabs a bottle of champagne and takes a swig. As the music hits, Ambrose leaves as Miz recovers at ringside. So the come segment, Rollins versus Joe. Also, Enzo and mystery partner versus Gallows and Anderson. We'll see Enzo backstage, match commercial. Enzo Amore and Big Show versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. Back from the break, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson are already wrapping up their entrance. Enzo is out, next for the mic. He hits the ring and says tonight he called in a favor since Big Cass is down and out. That favor is another 7-footer, and you can't teach that. The music hits and out comes Big Show. Enzo dances around, but Show doesn't look impressed. Enzo jokes about how Show's weight loss and asks if he's joining 205 Live. Enzo says he weighs 206 and Show is in the ring with a heavyweight. Show finally lightens up and does some comedy with Enzo. And the Big Show does the usual Cass promo before the bell. Anderson starts the fight off with Enzo and takes control. Show gets a tag and unloads on Anderson. Gallows runs in, but Big Show takes out both men on the floor. Show calls for a chokeslam on Anderson and hits it. Enzo tags in and goes to the top. Big Show presses Enzo and launches him onto Anderson for the pin. After the match, Show and Enzo celebrate. Still to come, Nia Jackson versus Bliss. Back to commercial. Back from break, Enzo is with Big Show. They walk up on Big Cass. Cass says Show has been gone for a few weeks, and as soon as Enzo needs a partner, there he is. Cass says someone has been sneaking around attacking them, insulting, insinuating it's Show. Show says he's a giant. He can't stake around. Enzo tries to kill the tension and invites Show to hang out with them. Show passes on the invite, but they appear to be on good terms, and as Enzo and Big Cass just walk off. We get another video from R-Truth video. From What's Up Productions. Truth quotes A Few Good Men and says he's coming for Goldust. Truth goes on and says Goldust turned his back on him. Now Truth turns his back. Truth promises Goldust is going to get got. Mike Rome is backstage with Alexa Bliss. She's not happy about tonight's title match and says the division needs to treat her better. She storms off, and the match is up next. She's headed out to the ring. We go to the ring. Out comes Nia Jax first. Back to commercial. Back from the break. We get Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss out. The bell rings and the match begins. Dana Brooke and Mickie James come down to the ramp to watch at ringside. Bliss smacks Nia and makes her mad to start the match. Nia launches Bliss across the ring a few times. Nia with a big splash in the corner. Nia misses another splash, and Bliss sidesteps. Bliss jumps on Nia's back for a sleeper hold, but gets tossed to the mat. Nia with elbows. Nia okay, elbow drops. Tossing that Nia with elbow drops. Nia continues dominating Bliss as Mickie and Dana look on. Bliss rolls to the floor for a breather. Bliss crawls to the floor and looks up to see Dana and Mickie. She shoves Dana, then Mickie. Bliss attacks them both, but gets hit back for the disqualification. After the match, Bliss takes the title, and it's announced as the winner. Her music hits, and Dana and Mickie attack her at ringside. Nia makes a save and wants Bliss for herself. Nia puts Bliss in the ring and tries to come back in, but Bliss drop kicks her. Nia makes her way into the ring, but Bliss is backing up the ramp. Mickie and Dana are also in the ring. Nia attacks them and destroys them both, leaving them both laying. Nia leaves as the music plays. Paul Heyman's backstage, getting checked on by a trainer. His phone rings and he asks the trainer to excuse him. Brock Lesnar is on the other end. Heyman says it's time Lesnar instill the fear into Samoa Joe, and that he does not have. Heyman wants Lesnar to show up on Raw next week, but he wants to do more than that. Heyman says it's time to unleash the beast. He hangs up. Still to come, Joe versus Rollins. Back to commercial. Back for the break. Brock Lesnar is confirmed for next week's Raw in Lafayette. Samoa Joe versus Seth Rollins. We go to the ring. Out first comes Samoa Joe. Seth Rollins was out next. The bell rings and Joe throws a towel on Rollins' face to start. Joe unloads in the corner. Joe keeps control until Rollins tackles him and unloads and with left and right. Rollins counters and power bomb and nails chops. Joe turns it around and drops Rollins with a headbutt. Joe tosses Rollins through the ropes to the floor. Rollins runs back in and unloads with strikes. Joe drops him with an elbow. Joe grabs Rollins, but Rollins tosses him to the floor. Rollins runs the ropes for a suicide dive, but he runs into a kick from Joe instead. Rollins falls to the floor. Joe launches Rollins into the barrier. Joe with a kick before rolling Rollins back into the ring. Joe waits for Rollins to get up and drops him with a strike. Joe works Rollins from the corner to corner now. Joe beats Rollins down with strikes. Rollins fights back and hits a jawbreaker. Rollins gets sent to the apron. Rollins nails Joe and Joe tries to springboard in, but Joe pushes the top rope and Rollins falls. Joe keeps control and nails a kick in the corner. Rollins goes down as we return to commercial. Back from the break, Joe remains in control. We see how he blocked the sling blade during commercial. Joe runs into a boot in the corner now. Rollins goes up top, but Joe knocks him to the mat. Joe with a 2 count. Joe keeps Rollins grounded. A big back and forth. As Rollins tries to fight back, Joe hits an inverted chop, a kick to the face, and a senton for a close 2 count. Joe continues to dominate, keeping Rollins grounded again and focusing on the shoulder with a submission. Rollins looks to make a comeback, but Joe catches him with a power slam for another 2 count. Joe with a chop in the corner now. Rollins fights back. Joe drops Joe. Rollins fights back and drops Joe with enziguri. Joe rolls to the floor for a breather. Rollins runs the ropes for a suicide dive and nails it. Rollins brings Joe back in the ring and hits a sling blade. Joe ends up on the back of the floor. Rollins runs the ropes and does another suicide dive. Rollins brings it back in the ring and hits a blockbuster. Joe goes back to the floor and Rollins does a third dive. Rollins rolls Joe back in. Rollins springboards in from the apron and nails a flying clothesline for another close pin attempt. Joe with an elbow to the face. They trade holds. Rollins hits a Falcon Arrow for a close 2 count. Rollins ends up going to the top. But lights go out for Bray Wyatt. Lights come back on. There's no Wyatt. Joe takes advantage and drops Rollins into the Keto clutch. Rollins tapped out to end it. After the match, Joe stares at Rollins before getting to his feet. Joe stood tall as with the title. As Coleslaw hyped Brock Lesnar's return next week. Referee checks on Rollins as Joe looks down and smirks as Raw goes off the air. And noted how on Tuesday, during the video, Paul Heyman tweeted about Samoa Joe attacked him on Raw, telling Joe to soak in the moment, his moment in the spotlight. As you hear what Joe's reply to Heyman on Twitter, threatened to send another message to Universal Champion Brock Lesnar. The Beast will be on next week's Raw to face off with Joe ahead of their Great Balls of Fire match. Also, comments from Heyman. Paul Heyman tweeted about Samoa Joe attacking him on Raw, telling Joe to soak in a moment, his moment in the spotlight. As seen here, Joe replied, threatened to send another message to him. It's your moment in the spotlight. You wanted this notoriety. Now you have it. At Samoa Joe. Replying to Heyman Hustle, collateral damage is such an unfortunate necessity. Be well, Paul. I trust my message arrived without delay. I would loathe to send it again. At Heyman Hustle, at Samoa Joe's career-defining moment was last night on #Raw. At my expense, that is why he's the worst-case scenario. Hashtag. At Heyman Hustle, when was the last time you saw at Brock Lesnar seeking revenge? Next Monday's #Raw is going to be very interesting. There was no dark main event after Extreme Rules Go Home edition of Raw in Greenville. After Roman Reigns celebrated following his main event win over Seth Rollins, the two had some heated words in the ring before Rollins left. Reigns then posed some more and took his time leaving. Also, another promo for Goldust aired from Raw where WWE veteran hyped the return of Golden Age and his feud with former partner R-Truth, as seen below. A fan knocked the future WWE Hall of Famer, but received a lashing in response from brother Cody Rhodes. At CG Curtis, the fan, I don't know what at Goldust means when he says he's back to his #Golden Age, because hasn't Goldust always been a jobber? #LOL. He's making a joke. At Cody Rhodes says, gifted and twisted, 3-time Intercontinental Champ, 3-time World Tag Team Champ, replace jobber with future Hall of Famer, and kiss my ass while you're at it. Finn Balor did not appear on this week's Raw broadcast, and he did appear after Raw went off the air for the live crowd at Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. At this link, you can see that what happened. Dark Sabbath saw Seth Rollins recover from his main event loss to Samoa Joe until Bray Wyatt came out to get in Joe's face. They face off before double teaming Rollins. Balor then made a save to a big pop. Balor and Rollins cleared the ring, hit their finishers before Balor showed Rollins how to do his pose. Videos for the segment can be seen at this link here. And that concludes my Raw video and WWE main event results for this week. Thanks again. Peace out. See you all on beer. You don't know, just comment, brothers and sisters.